Part 1. The sun rose gently over the rolling hills of KwaZulu-Natal, painting the land in shades of gold and green. In a small village not far from the bustling roads of Durban lived Nomsa, a woman whose life had been shaped by both hardship and quiet hope. She was known in the village for her warm greetings and the way her eyes softened whenever she spoke to elders or children. Nomsa sold vetkoek by the roadside every morning, waking before dawn to prepare the dough while her two young sons still slept on thin mattresses beside the kitchen fire. Life had never been easy for her, but she carried her struggles with dignity, believing that kindness was a seed that always found a way to grow. Years earlier, Nomsa had loved deeply. She had married Saifo, a tall and ambitious man who dreamed of leaving the village to find work in the city. When the mines closed and factory jobs became scarce, Saifo grew restless and bitter. Accusations crept into their home like cold wind through broken windows. When Nomsa fell ill and could no longer work for some months, Saifo accused her of laziness and betrayal, believing rumors whispered by jealous neighbors. One night, after a fierce argument, he left and never returned. Nomsa was left alone with her children, her heart bruised but unbroken. Despite the pain, Nomsa refused to let bitterness define her. She found strength in the land and in the community around her. Every morning, she shared extra vetkoek with schoolchildren who passed her stall hungry. She visited Gogo Thandi, an elderly widow who lived alone at the edge of the village, bringing her water and listening to stories of the old days. People often wondered how Nomsa could give so much when she had so little. She would smile and say that kindness made her feel rich. One afternoon, during a sudden summer storm, a stranger appeared near her stall. He was drenched, carrying a torn backpack and wearing city shoes covered in red mud. His name was Thabo. He explained that he had returned from Johannesburg after losing his job and had been robbed on the bus, leaving him with nothing but his clothes. Many villagers watched him with suspicion, but Nomsa offered him shelter under her small awning and handed him a warm vetkoek without asking for payment. Thabo's eyes filled with tears as he accepted the food, surprised by her generosity. As days passed, Thabo remained in the village, helping where he could. He repaired fences, fetched water, and assisted elders without expecting anything in return. Nomsa noticed his quiet strength and the sadness he carried. They spoke often in the evenings while her children played nearby. Thabo shared stories of the city, of dreams that had slipped through his fingers, and of the loneliness that followed him back home. Nomsa shared her own story, not as a tale of loss, but as one of survival. Slowly, trust grew between them, like grass after rain. Thabo helped Nomsa expand her small business, building a sturdier stall and teaching her simple ways to save money. The village began to change its view of him, seeing not a stranger, but a man trying to rebuild his life. Nomsa's children grew fond of Thabo, laughing when he told them stories by the fire. For the first time in years, Nomsa felt her heart opening again, cautiously but sincerely. Yet life tested her kindness once more when Saifo suddenly returned. He arrived thin and tired, his pride broken by years of failure. He demanded forgiveness and accused Nomsa of replacing him. Old wounds reopened, and the village buzzed with gossip. Nomsa stood at a crossroads, torn between past pain and present peace. That night, she prayed quietly, asking for wisdom, not revenge. She knew her choice would shape not only her future, but the hearts of those watching her. Part 2. The following morning, Nomsa made her decision. She invited Saifo to sit with her outside the house, beneath the old marula tree where they had once shared dreams as young lovers. She listened as he spoke of regret and hardship, of mistakes he could not undo. When he finished, Nomsa spoke calmly, her voice steady like the earth beneath their feet. She told him she forgave him, not because he deserved it, but because she refused to carry anger any longer. Forgiveness, she said, was her gift to herself. She did not invite Saifo back into her life as her husband, but she encouraged him to rebuild his own path with dignity. The villagers were stunned by her strength. Some expected tears or shouting, but Nomsa chose peace. Saifo left quietly, humbled by a kindness he had once taken for granted. Thabo watched all of this from a distance, unsure of his place. That evening, Nomsa found him preparing to leave the village, believing that her past deserved space and respect. She stopped him gently and told him that kindness had already bound their lives together. She explained that love, like trust, grew from honesty and patience. Thabo stayed, not as a rescuer, but as a partner willing to walk beside her. Over time, Nomsa and Thabo built a life rooted in service and care. Their small stall became a gathering place where stories were shared and laughter flowed. Namsa taught other women how to start simple businesses, and Tabo organized youth to clean the river and repair homes. The village began to change, inspired by the quiet example of two people who believed in lifting others as they rose. When drought struck the region, testing everyone's resilience, Namsa opened her home to those in need, sharing what little food she had. Tabo helped dig trenches to collect rainwater, and together they ensured no child went to sleep hungry. Their actions reminded the community of the Ubuntu spirit, the belief that a person is a person through others. Years later, as Namsa watched her sons grow into kind and responsible young men, she reflected on her journey. Love had returned to her life not as a dramatic rescue, but as a steady presence built on respect and compassion. She understood that kindness was not weakness, but courage in its purest form. In the evenings, as the sun dipped below the hills and the village settled into quiet, Namsa would sit beside Tabo and feel gratitude fill her heart. Their story spread beyond the village, not because it was extraordinary, but because it was real. It was a story of African hearts that chose love over bitterness, kindness over fear, and hope over despair, proving that even in the hardest soil, something beautiful could grow.